through all his senses. Strange odors, fleeting touches, voices calling him, sights he could never have imagined. He tried to ignore them, and when he couldn't ignore them, he tried to piece them together instead. Neither was entirely possible, and every attempt hurt so badly, he despaired of it ever ending. "Sometimes," he said falteringly, "I smell a forest on fire."
Continue.
"I see the general falling and feel the ground shake as a starship crashes around me, and I hear a woman's voice when I try to sleep." He swallowed. This was the most painful recollection of all. "I can't understand what she's saying. Do you know who she is?" A pleading note had entered his voice, and he hated himself for it.
They are the memories of a dead man.
Vader came closer, his physical presence lending weight to his words.
A side effect of the accelerated cloning process and the memory flashes used to train you. They will fade.
What if they don't?
Then you will be of no use to me.
Starkiller straightened. For the first time, that fact had been said aloud. He had always known it was so. Darth Vader wasn't renowned for his charity. But to hear it stated so boldly that this Starkiller, this clone, would be disposed of like some faulty droid if he didn't pull himself together soon, had a profoundly focusing effect. Not for long. Try the Corellian Razor Hounds. That was a new voice, one he hadn't heard before. He winced and knew that by wincing, he had effectively doomed himself.
Starkiller's emotions made him weak. If you are to serve me, you must be strong.
What form of service that might take, Darth Vader had never said. To take the former Starkiller's place, he presumed, as a weapon that could be aimed at the Emperor, then Vader's enemies, whenever he commanded. From treacherous commanders to perhaps the Emperor himself. That was how it had been, and how he assumed it would be now. For the moment, however, that didn't matter. The new Starkiller wanted only to live. I am strong, my master, and I'm getting stronger. Vader stepped behind him and waved a hand. Metal complained as the manacles dropped from Starkiller's wrists and hit the floor with a boom.
Show me.
Numerous pairs of eyes lit up in the shadows. The proxy droids were activating. Starkiller's fists balled in readiness. He had defeated their training programs over and over again. There wasn't a Jedi simulation that could beat him. But this was different. Even as Darth Vader provided him with his weapons, two lightsabers with matched crystals producing identical red blades, he saw that he wouldn't be fighting Jedi Knights this time. The targets stepping out of the shadows wore uniforms not dissimilar in color to the Sith's ancient enemy, but these were ordinary men, armed with nothing more than blasters. He had seen such armor before in the memories of the original Starkiller's life. Men like this had fought him in a TIE fighter factory high above Nar Shaddaa. They had been on Corellia, too. He remembered the places clearly, even if he couldn't put them in context. The uniforms weren't Imperial. That was the only thing he could be sure of. More voices came to him, a veritable babble of overlapping statements that went some way to filling one hole in his memory. We'll join your alliance. All we needed was someone to take the initiative. Let this be an official declaration of rebellion. And he did remember now. The proxy droids were wearing the uniform of Kota's militia, later adopted by the rebellion. The rebellion, the original Starkiller, had brought into being through a mixture of deceit and something that felt, through the obscuring veils of the cloning process, remarkably like sincerity.
You must destroy what he created.
Darth Vader intoned. Starkiller ground his teeth together. If he was going to survive the coming minutes, he had to concentrate. He wasn't really destroying the rebellion, just an imitation of it. And what did the rebellion matter now anyway? It existed. The original Starkiller was dead. He needed to move on. The troopers rushed him from all sides. Twin red blades flashed as he met their advance, spinning and slashing with an easy grace that belied the strength behind it. Mastery of the Jarkai dual lightsaber fighting style hadn't come easily, even given his inherited knowledge of the Naimen and Ataru techniques. Using two blades came with both advantages and disadvantages. Although he could attack or defend himself against more than one opponent at once, he could only wield his lightsabers one-handed, reducing the power of his blows. Building up his physical strength had therefore been a key part of his training on Kamino, starting with simple weights and graduating to combat training with droids like these. Dueling the Dark Lord himself had come last of all, and he had clung to that ultimate challenge, even as his mind played games with him. He might not know who he was, but he could learn, and had learned, how to fight. Fight he did, deflecting every attack the foe rebels dealt against him, singly or in pairs and trios. Holographic limbs and blasters were no match for his blades. Sparks flew, droids fell in pieces, brown uniforms turned red with illusory blood. More droids issued from the wall, crowding him, coming at him in waves of 4 or more. Starkiller went into a fighting trance, stabbing and sweeping complex arcs through air. His nostrils were full of smoke. The stink cleared his head. No more voices assailed him, and no doubts either. He was who he was. Born to kill, he killed. With a roar, he forced his way through a wall of rebels, slashing and hacking as he went. They fell apart on either side, leaving just one standing before him. He raised both blades to strike him down. Not him. Her. She was a slender blonde woman in an officer's uniform, clutching a blaster in both hands. Starkiller froze. He knew that face. He took a step toward the woman. "You're still loyal to Vader, after all he did to us, branding me a traitor and trying to kill you." "No," he said. The words in his head wouldn't be drowned out. "I saw you die, but you've come back." "No," he repeated, raising his blades. "Don't make me leave another life behind." "No!" The woman cowered before him. "Wait," she said in a voice identical to the one in his head. "Don't!" "Now the fate of this alliance rests only with you." He lowered his blades, stunned out of his fighting trance. The voices were the same. Memories stirred in his mind. Images of the woman before him came in a bewildering rush. Vader wanted him to destroy everyone the original Starkiller had fought with, and that meant this woman, this rebel officer, this... Juno. "Yes," she said.
"Strike her down,"
came the command from Vader. I can't,"
"You must learn to hate what he loved,"
said Vader, and suddenly, it was just the three of them in the center of the droid-strewn training ground. Starkiller, the Sith who had created him, and a woman from the first Starkiller's past. Conflicting impulses warred within him, triggered by the ongoing cascade of recollections. Juno was Juno Eclipse, the woman Starkiller had, yes, loved. But he wasn't Starkiller, so what did he owe her? He was just a clone, and she was only a droid, an illusion, fashioned to test him. What did it matter if he did as he was told, as he had been bred to do? His hands trembled. The twin red blades wavered. They grew steadier, as he drew his elbows back, preparing to strike. I guess I'll never need to live this down. He remembered a tender pressure against his lips, the feel of her body against his, a heat he had never experienced before, in this life or any other. He couldn't do it. He couldn't kill her. With a double click, he deactivated his blades. His arms came down and hung at his sides.
It is as I feared.
Darth Vader lashed out, channeling the dark side with practiced ease. Starkiller winced, but it was the training droid the Dark Lord had targeted. His lightsaber sliced it neatly in two. The image of Juno Eclipse vanished in a shower of sparks. Starkiller held his ground,